Okay, folks, another video here coming to you today concerning the impeachment yesterday and the acquittal of our great president Donald J. Trump, and how you could tell when a person like Donald Trump does a good job in office by the amount of persecution this man has taken onto. You know, I went last night to pick up a newspaper to get the paper that says acquittal in it. There was none. So that just shows you when you're persecuted in this country, you did a good job. And when you're not, people don't praise you for the work that you have done. It tells you that you did better than what these people that have been in office for many years have done. What I see in this country is total plagiarism to the left, and it's not the way our country was meant to be. In the news this morning, I was watching, and they're talking about the Donald Trump being acquitted on some stations, but not all stations. And they're also talking about militarizing Washington until next fall, which I knew this from the beginning. The minute they got the military there and they got fences up, it was going to become a militarized zone. Our U.S. Capitol is a militarized zone now, and is going to remain a militarized zone for some time now. You know, yesterday in the morning when the impeachment hearing started, they came out, the managers, the representative managers came out and said they wanted a witness. All good, all fine and dandy. They agreed not to know witnesses in the beginning, and then they changed their mind. And then Trump's lawyer stood up and says, okay, if you want lawyers, I want 100 witnesses. I want 100 witnesses. I want Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Kamala Harris, and all these other people. And they went into a session, and they shut everything down for a while. Well, after about an hour or so, they came back, and they decided against witnesses. And I guess Donald Trump's legal team had decided or talked him into just taking on, something he had supposedly said, and which made no difference in all actuality. It was after, the whole thing was going down or whatever it was, and he was asked about it. Well, this should have been brought out prior in an investigation, not at the end of the thing when they were going to judgment. But it didn't matter. He was acquitted anyway. And yet 7 Republicans who voted to impeach a Republican president, a former Republican president, with no reason. There's no law in the Constitution that says you can impeach a person after they leave office. It was all unconstitutional. So to me, that shows me all the Democrats who voted for impeachment and voted to find guilt on Donald Trump don't believe in our Constitution. Not in the slightest fashion. They don't believe in it. They don't believe in our Bill of Rights. They'll access those words when they're giving a speech and say how they uphold it. But they're the ones that break it. Every day of the week that they're in office, they break these rules. And they expect the American people to be dumb when they're doing these things. Well, I got news for them. We're not dumb. We see what's going on. And by them persecuting Donald Trump, the 75 million people that stand with him understand what the real deal is. So I'm hoping, which I got some inklings, some information that Donald Trump is going to run in 2024. But I want to know what the Democratic Party is going to do about this when they're not able to cheat in the election. And Donald Trump this time wins in a landslide. with more than 75 million votes. Because truly, people, whether Democrat or Republican or independent, they're actually seeing the big picture now. They're a lot more people. I go to stores and people are talking about, oh, I wish I didn't vote for Joe Biden. I wish I didn't do this. I wish I didn't do that, because of the cost of everything. So people are waking up to the hypocrisy of the Democratic Party. It's only a matter of time till everybody wakes up and they destroy the Democratic Party. And then our country will get back on the right track once that happens. But with the militarizing zone of our U.S. Capitol, wanting to make statehood, Washington a state, Puerto Rico a state, only to cheat in elections. That's all that's about. If this Democratic Party was so well thought out, they wouldn't be doing half-wit stuff in order to protect themselves. They wouldn't have to cheat in elections. They wouldn't have to do nothing like that, because they would be getting elected in with no problem. But you see, the problem is they make promises they can never keep. And I don't see them going very far. Everybody claims democracy. You'd hear that word democracy, democracy, democracy. Every day on the news, you hear senators saying it. You hear this person saying it, congressman. We're not a democracy. We are a republic, period. And I don't think they like that. I really don't think they like that. We're a republic and not a democracy. If they themselves would wake up and really see what they are doing to our country, what they're doing to their grandchildren, what they're doing to their children, they would really get the big picture. But these people, they don't understand nothing. It's all about the value of money to them. How much money they're going to get from all the lobbyists, all the pharma companies, teachers unions, this, that, the other thing. They forgot about our children. There's no school. They claim there's going to be school. Now the CDC says that they got to go back to school. Joe's saying, now they're saying it's one day a week. What's the sense of sending our children back to school for one day a week? There's no sense in it. We need our kids back full-time in school so they can get an education. But the whole impeachment hypocrisy that they went through wasted a lot of money. Two times. The amount of money they spent on these two impeachments of Donald J. Trump, that money could have been put to way better use as far as helping homeless, veterans, or feeding people, curing a disease, but they didn't use it for that. They used it to persecute a American citizen. An American citizen. They persecuted an American citizen. This is our government. And you hear the news media talking about, they do it because they want to put a statement out there to other people who might want to run for office and go against the establishment. Well, it ain't up to them who runs for office in this country. It's up to the people, not them. So I suggest if they can't get on the bandwagon for America, they leave our country. Especially the foreigners that came into our country and wanted to become citizens and ain't naturally born citizens. Yo, get the hell out. We don't need you here. Leave. Because this is our country. This isn't your country. It's ours. We were born here. And we need more investigations to do a lot of stuff like the WHO. Joe Biden himself, Kamala Harris herself. A lot of stuff that's happening in our government that they keep on the hush. Why don't they want the Kennedy tapes released? Is there something they're hiding? Is that the reason they begged Donald J. Trump not to bring it out? The FBI? I say there's something really serious there that they're hiding. It's beyond your mind to think that these people are running our country. And with them running our country, where are we going to go? Is our country going to fall to communism? Is our country going to fall to socialism? Or is our government going to turn us over to another communist country like China? It looks that way to me, because nobody wants to hold China responsible for what they do. You know, there's investigations needed to be done. Many investigations. Even the whole situation about the riot. About how the leaders, Mitch McConnell, Nancy Pelosi, all these people had the power to put security in place, and they didn't do that. We need investigations into who funded the coronavirus, which I know who that is already. I'll tell everybody. It's Dr. Fauci, Anthony Fauci. Because in 2014, Barack Hussein Obama, former president, told him to back off of it, and he never did. He took it to a foreign nation, which was China. So he was in bed with China. That's why the World Health Organization, this guy praises him. Because he knows they're not going to come out with the facts, the truth, and tell what it is that he funded it. And a lot of people need to wake up in this country, because our country is headed for somewhere there's no return back from it. They claim it was an insurrection at the Capitol building on January 6th. Do these people really know and realize that the way we became a free nation, a free country, was by a civil war? The people rising up against the governments. That's how we became a nation. But they don't want that no more. They want the government to be in control. You know, it was back in 1980 was the last time it was listed that the American taxpayers owned everything in the government. You can't find it nowhere now online or anywhere you go. It's all hidden and covered up. Now it says the government owns the government. The government doesn't own the government. We the people own the government. We foot the bill for everything, because without our money, they're nobody's. They won't have a job. And they expect us to fall in line, be sheep, and be led by these people. Well, I'm one that will never be led by nobody. I'm my own person, my own man. I have my own mind to think. And they don't like that about American people. But it's not up to them. It's up to me. It's up to you. And people just need to stand up and realize where we're headed as a nation. If we want to keep our nation, period, if we want to keep humanity, it's not going to be God that destroys us. It's going to be us ourselves that destroy us. And that's what's happening in this country. In the world, people are destroying each other. You got people killing babies every day of the week, claiming it's okay. It's because it's the right of the person's bot that's carrying the child. No, it's not right for them. Children are gifts from God, period. They're not meant to be created and then destroyed. When they get into the term of abortion and how it's legal, well, I believe, not specific numbers, but there's probably a couple 100,000 people that went to prison for murder of women who were pregnant. Because they were pregnant, they charged them with double homicide. Well, how could it be legal on one term to abort a baby, but if somebody on the other side murders somebody, it's a murder because it's a person they killed? It doesn't work. There's one lane for everything. There's two sides to every story. And in this country, it's either the Democratic way or no way. It's the way it seems. Like when, for instance, with the newspaper article today that I went to look for Donald Trump. If this was a prominent Democrat that got acquitted by the Senate, it'd be front page news blasted everywhere that this person was acquitted in the Senate. Because it was Donald Trump, it's nowhere. Like I say, you hear it here and there on the news, but not the main news sources like CNN, MSNBC, this, that, the other thing. All they're doing is down talking on how Nancy Pelosi came and attacked everybody. Nancy Pelosi is the Antichrist. I don't care what anybody says. She's an Antichrist. She says she's a God believer. She's a Catholic. She's full of shit. Nancy Pelosi is the Antichrist, as well as Chuck Schumer. If there was ever true investigations in this country concerning any of these people, trust and believe if we had an actual justice system that was fair and impartial, you would see a lot of people in prison. If this was back in the 80s, they'd all be in prison. If they were doing what they were doing now, back in the 80s, they'd be in prison. No doubt in my mind they'd be in prison. Then you get a guy like Mitch McConnell to say, oh, I voted because I didn't believe it was constitutional. Well, if it's not constitutional, why are you going to come out and try and say there's other means and necessary ways of handling it, like criminal actions or civil actions? Donald J. Trump didn't do nothing wrong. It wasn't his thing that he had set up that day. He wanted a peaceful march. That's what he said. And sure, I tell everybody this, there was some people that went in that shouldn't have went in. But then there was other groups that didn't have nothing to do with Donald J. Trump. They just infiltrated the actual peaceful march, which that happens in every aspect of protest. And they associate it with things like, oh, well, do you think this would have happened? What do you think would have happened if it was a Martin Luther King march or this or that or this or that or this or that or this or that? It has nothing to do. One doesn't have nothing to do with the other. It's the same thing. It's peaceful people marched for what they believe in, and other people come in to Shanghai it. And when it's Shanghai, you can't blame the whole crowd. You can only blame the people that do it. But they say in this impeachment hearing, none of this has happened before. Well, it has happened in federal buildings. Federal courthouse in, I believe it was Portland, that was taken over for over a month. A whole city blocks were taken over in Seattle, Washington. But they say that never happened from the left. Well, I'm here to tell you and beg to differ with you. It did happen. And you know what they did for it? Nothing. The vice president of the United States right now, illegitimate vice president, bailed people out over it. When they burnt down buildings and they did this and they did that and all this other happy crap. Injured police officers. Just like the Capitol, they talk about, the police officers that got injured, which I feel bad for them. It shouldn't have happened. They were just there for a job. But in all reality, nobody really broke into the Capitol. The doors and gates were open by law enforcement. They were open. Because if you ask me, I honestly believe they didn't agree with the election as well as anybody else. And they believed the election was stolen also. But if they do a real investigation, everything's eventually going to come out. The only reason they didn't call witnesses yesterday and they decided against it was Donald Trump's lawyers were going to drill Nancy Pelosi in Philadelphia on what she knew prior to the event, what she did to stop it, and they didn't want that to come out. That's why the House managers didn't want this to go the way it was. Like if Donald Trump's lawyers decided to push that envelope, they wouldn't allow that information in yesterday either, but Donald Trump just wanted this over. So he probably agreed to it because he knew he wasn't guilty of no crimes. And I would have liked to see witnesses because then we would get to the bottom of the true story, what Mitch McConnell actually knew, what Nancy Pelosi knew, what the sergeant of arms that runs the protection at the Capitol building knew, what the FBI knows, and who knew what prior to it going down. And we're not going to see that because they're going to claim a phony investigation, like every investigation in the last couple of years from the FBI, it's bogus, bullshit investigations. If you're not part of the elite crew, they're going to try and prosecute you. If you're part of the elite crew, they give you a tap on the wrist. All they're doing is pissing American people off by doing that, because eventually people are going to say, well, if this person can do this and that person can do that, why can't I? And like I say, two wrongs don't make it right. And it's coming, America. And people really, 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 really need to open their eyes and see what's going on in this country. Because it starts at the top and it works its way down. You know, it's outrageous. There's an old saying, shit rolls downhill. So it starts at the top always. And we got to empty the shitter at the top of the hill eventually. Because these people are all about money. They're not about the American people no more. I would love one day to ask any one of these big politicians who speak about the race issues in America, how many of them had, just on an average, any black person over at the house for dinner, or to hang out, watch a movie, or just, hang out and chill? How many of them actually have done that? Or how many of them had somebody that needed help and helped them out in some way? It wasn't within the government, but by themselves. And I guarantee you the answer I would get is zero. Period. Zero. None of them helped anybody. They helped themselves. They claim to be for the people, but they're not. The Black Caucus in Washington, D.C., they don't care about their own race. They really don't. They care about themselves, their own self-interest. They talk a good game, but it's a game. It's all about votes. It's not about the people. But people are starting to catch on to that really fast. As you see in the last election, Donald Trump got the most African-American votes, Hispanic votes, and other people's minority votes in the whole, ever in an election cycle as a Republican, a sitting Republican president. So people's eyes are starting to open wide. And when those eyes become totally wide open, I feel bad for the people in power, because the people are going to uprise. And when the people really do start uprising, that what happened at the Capitol is going to be like going to the candy store back in the day when you were a little kid going to get penny candy, bags of penny candy to go to school with. That's what it's going to seem like. That happened on the 6th. And like I say, they're militarized our capital. That should tell people the whole story of what's going on in Washington, D.C. right now and what's about to come. It's only a matter of time before they either hit us with some sort of martial law or some stupid thing about a virus, and they start quarantining American citizens in camps, FEMA camps. Because this is the road we're headed down. Some people might think it's conspiracy theories and stuff like that, but really it's not. If you wake up, look, read between the lines, and really see what's going on in this country, to understand why I'm saying this. Because there's a lot of stuff that it's meant to be unseen, but it's there to be seen. Just by some wording people come out of their mouths, or the way the news carries it, or the way Facebook carries it, or the way this is, or the way that is. And eventually it's all going to come out into the public's eye and the public realm. And then we'll have our country back once that happens, because then people will uprise. But then again, who knows, because I think 90% of the people in our country nowadays are half pansies. Bunch of pansies. You got parents teaching kids to be girls when they're boys. Parents teaching their girls to be boys. God made two sexes, male and female. He didn't make male, female. I want to be a male and I want to be a female. No, that's a mental illness. Period. And the thing about these people going to the bathrooms, God forbid I'm in a store, public place, and I see a little girl or a woman, you know what I mean, from my family or something go. Even a little girl that's not my family, I see a man follow her in the bathroom. Well, I feel for that guy because I'm gonna sink his head into the wall inside the building because he shouldn't be in there with that little girl. It's disgusting. It's outright disgusting. But you get a pervert like Joe Biden, the president, who was messing with Jill Biden when she was a teenager, while she was married. This is why you get things about little girls having to worry about boys going to the bathrooms. It's stuff like that. It's perverted. Half these politicians are all perverts. They talk a good game, but on the surface and in the closets, they're all bad guys. Half of them had sex with young kids or happened to mess with young girls or they married young girls. But the news people don't report the facts. That's what I'm here for. I'm gonna tell the whole story about everything there is. And I don't care because I don't fear nobody. If somebody comes at me, no matter who it is, what it is, I'm ready to fight anybody there is. Whether physical altercation or whatever it takes. The question everybody has to ask themselves is, are they ready to die for what they believe in? And if they come at me, I hope they are ready to die because I'm the worstest person in the world. I could be your best friend or I could be your worstest nightmare. And I don't want to be that person, being that bad person. I want to get along with everybody, be a nice guy. I tell my wife that every day. You try and live a good life, and people try and just push you into that zone where you don't want to be at. And I'm trying my best in this world to be the righteous guy and do the right thing. But if it ever comes my way that I have to do something that I really don't want to do, I'm the one that'll do it. I'm not afraid. And when it comes to my family, it's the worst part of it. If anybody attacks my family, then I'm just going to be an animal, period. So with all this being said, people, we need to wake up. We need more people like Donald J. Trump to run for office and straighten our country out. This is the only way we're going to have our country back and have a future for our kids and our grandkids. It's not about us adults. It's about the kids, the grandchildren, the next generation. That's who it's about. It's not about us anymore. Most of our time on this earth, the people who are living here now, the next couple of centuries, we won't even be here. But our grandkids and everybody else will be. And that's who it's about. If we don't straighten it out now, like they say, global warming. Well, newsflash, people, we're not in global warming. Right now in this country, we're under freeze on most of the country. Even out west near California, Seattle, and everywhere. They're under a freeze warning today. That's what's in the news. So their global warming theory is out the window. Because we're not under global warming. It's just a theory to put up money and for them to make money. So I'm going to let you people go today. Like I say, I hope a lot of people start watching these videos. If they are, I hope they are. And like I say, I'm just trying to get it out to the facts to the people. I mean, hopefully I'm going on live later today on YouTube and Facebook because I have a friend of mine who knows computers who's going to come and fix my computer so I can go live and fix my accounts. And that's what I actually want to do. I want to put the truth out to the American people. If Donald Trump did a shitty job, though, one thing is, people, let me tell you, he'd be being praised right now. If he was part of the Democratic Party, he'd be being praised. But because he was a Republican and he went against the establishment, he was persecuted. But again, this is Joe. I'm out. God bless America, and hopefully we keep our country, people. Just wake up, smell the coffee burning. And again, it's Joe. And I'm out. Have a good day.